Hey everyone, it hasn't even been a week yet since my last review, but there's been so many recent films that I want to watch. It's truly the summertime for cinematic experiences. Anyways, let's get right into this review for Longlegs. First, let's talk about the casting. Micah Monroe as the MC and Nicolas Cage as the mysterious antagonist were absolutely the right choices for this story. The entire cast of side characters were great as well, but damn, Micah was crazy good as the lead role. I love the way she played her character, FBI agent Lee Harker, in this twisted and eerie story. As for Nicolas Cage, it's just so evident that he gives all 200% of himself for his character portrayals, and this was no different. He was good as the creepy killer and made some scenes very unpleasant. So yeah, without a doubt, the casting was on point. Now let's talk about the cinematography. That was insane. I loved the tone and the color palette and the way scenes were shot. The look and direction of this film felt so pristine, almost to the point that most scenes in this film could have been a beautifully twisted and eerie wallpaper or piece of art. It was a joy to visually watch from start to finish. The runtime for this film being 1 hour and 41 minutes was perfect for the story they were trying to execute. The feeling of dread is encapsulated so well through the dialogue, visuals, and story direction that I found it engaging from the very beginning and was ready to see the entire story through. But wanting to see the conclusion to this mystery is where my biggest disappointment lies. It's how the story concludes itself, and without getting into spoilers, I think this is where the film will be a divisive hit or miss for the audience. On my end, I didn't resonate super well with the twists and turns made to get to this conclusion, but I have to say I wasn't expecting that either. Now, was my mixed reaction to the conclusion of the story enough to deter me from recommending this film? Absolutely not. I think the true beauty of this cinematic piece comes from the build-up through Acts 1 and 2 that truly makes this film shine bright. Seeing the build-up of character dynamics, the story, and the setting is already more than enough for me to recommend this film to horror and mystery buffs out there who have yet to see this film. Now on to the big question, was this film as scary as the media made it out to be? Not really. I was expecting to be scared out of my mind with the impressions and early reviews that I saw, but that's not the case here. And one thing to know about me is I haven't watched horror films for the longest of times while growing up, because I was too damn scared and didn't want anything to do with it. Until I finally started studying film and production, which is when I wanted to test new grounds and start gaining experience with aspects of horror films. And also, I still can't do stuff like haunted houses. Hell no. With all that being said, there aren't cheap jump scares or really anything super scary here in my opinion. I think there's a lingering feeling of dread and a buildup of mystery that can make some scenes tense, but nothing really out of the world disturbing or anything visually more intense than what you see in other horror films. There are obviously some psychological elements that I can see ranging differently for people in the spooky meter, but I was a little surprised when I realized that this film definitely wasn't that scary for me. If anything, I think the recent horror film Immaculate was a scarier watch than this. But even with the horror aspects not being as scary as I initially thought, I absolutely loved the way the story is told without any cheap jump scares. It really made me more engaged with what I was viewing, and the raw buildup of tension felt unique and well earned without forcing cheap tactics to scare me. I've been able to get this rare magical feeling of this truly being a fun cinematic experience at the theaters while still watching the film, which is something that doesn't happen too often for me, so huge thumbs up with the execution of this film. And to my surprise, Longlegs isn't the easiest story to digest in one viewing. There are twists and turns here that can make the story quite confusing until you give it more thought. It requires mental processing to understand the stuff that you've just witnessed, so initially when the credits rolled, I was slightly bummed out from expecting a scarier and more cohesive story, so I thought this was a 7.5 out of 10 after considering all aspects of the film together. But once I was able to put the pieces of the puzzle together and figuring out the reasons behind a certain character or plot point, I found myself acknowledging the beauty of this film more than what I originally thought. So my final score for this film ends up being 8.5 out of 10. It's a solid time, the cinematography is crazy good, the casting was perfect, the build-ups of Act 1 and 2 were amazing, Act 3 fell short for me, but at that point it wasn't enough to ruin the film for me. It's a fun cinematic experience for sure, and one that I'd recommend to any film enthusiast to check out in the theaters. Anyways, thanks for checking out this review, and if you liked what you saw, please check my other reviews that are already posted and stay tuned for more reviews coming soon on this channel. Until then, see you soon. Peace.